So what you're looking at here is I have a exhaust wrap titanium wrap. I bought a custom hanger. So when the exhaust is installed, it has another mounting point besides the securing point for the exhaust itself. I bought this complex mandrel bent. It is 180 degree and I believe like 120 degree. So let me show you how we're gonna go about this. All right, so what I have here is, I had this for a long time now, it is a digital protractor. So I'll go ahead and turn it on. I'll have to zero it. Closest thing I have is the floor here. So I'll zero that. That should read 0. Let's just hit that one more time. Okay, so as I turn it, obviously it'll read me the degrees. So what I'm going to do now is this O2 housing here is at an angle. It's not 100 degree or 100 or 0 degrees flat. So I'll just kind of put that here, and let's see if I can get this on camera. We're getting 21.5 degrees there. So why do I need that? Is because I'm coming over here and we're going to assume that this is 0, and I already marked it here, so we'll just proof check it here. This was my first measurement, and I want to be a little conservative, and I went a little higher because I can always cut more and tuck it in and fit it versus cutting it here and then having to add, which is going to be a pain. So the next step I'll do now, see if I can get this fairly secured here. All right, that's as straight as I can get it here for the video. And see if I can get lined up with these marks on camera. It's not going to be the best, but you can see for eyeballing it here with one hand. It's 1 degree off by just holding it with one hand, but I measured it pretty good with 2 hands and no camera. So the idea is I'll cut it there at 21. So when I weld up the flange up to that cut right there, it's going to be at the right angle for that O2 housing. And then after that, it'll be mounted. And then obviously this is going to stick out ridiculously long. Some of you guys probably going to tell me to keep that there. No, I'm not going to do that. So it's going to stick out here. And then after that, of course, I'll kind of eyeball it. Again, I'll be conservative. I'll leave maybe 2 inches, cut it from there, and then start taking measurements and start cutting the exhaust out of that hole right there. Might have to get rid of that marker right there. So yeah, that's where we're at. So let's get some cutting done. Cutting is going to rattle the camera down, so let me just go ahead and put this at a different point. So this is a worn out tool, but this is what I got for now. I think it'll get the job done. Jesus Christ. Alright, if I just get a good angle here. I don't want to block the camera. Kind of ran out of cord maybe. Let's see. Yeah, should be good. definitely need a new blade. I'll get it done with this blade though. Trying to find my hearing protection. I kind of always remember to put this after the fact. All right, we're gonna see where we at with the degrees now that it's cut. How close are we to the 21 and a half? All right, guys, so I put it again here. Let's see. Let's zero it real quick. Come on. Okay, zeroed. So now we're gonna see what my degrees here is. We're gonna go for 21 and a half. We're at 21.4. That is perfect. I can't ask for any better. So what I got to do now is we're gonna see where I just have to push this in. Probably I haven't even tried to fit it in here yet. Push it in and then wiggle it in there, and then I can actually play with the angles a little bit if it was off, so I can get this lined up in there. So I can't do that on camera here, unfortunately. I know you guys would like to see all this stuff, so let's see. You can see because the mandrel bent, it has it a little out of round, and this is perfectly round, so it's not necessarily going to fit. So off camera, what I'm going to do is hammer some of the high spots in, and then maybe just hammer this in a little bit to wedge it in there, and then start test fitting. Can I get this on camera? Let me see. Not easy, guys. Not easy. I tried to do it here for the camera, but I'm gonna have to probably put it on the floor, which I don't have a good angle to put the camera on to record it. But essentially, again, I'm just gonna hit the high spots and try to get it rounded up. All right, guys. So here we go. This is kind of what it's gonna look like. Obviously, there's too much of a degree there on the flange, but I just kind of wanted to get the flange there so I can start test fitting the whole thing on the car, and then check the clearance down here with the oil filter housing. All right, guys, so I test fitted it, kind of eyeballed it. This part right here is definitely touching the oil filter housing, but if I tilt it around like the whole thing 45 degrees towards the back, it'll clear it. I was looking a couple days ago, just having different ideas. They sell like a 2-inch adapter, so that can give me an extension to push it down. I'm considering that, but I really want to try this 45-degree thing. And if that doesn't work, then I'm probably going to have to buy another tube here to avoid having to weld more pieces in, because if I can have just one piece, that would be my preferred method. So I'm going to measure the angle here, cut that, and then test fit this again. The end product is going to be a little bit, instead of here like this, should fit in like that. All right, so I think I can get on camera. So what I'm going to try to do is, as we established earlier, when it was vertical, I needed a 21.5 degree here. So I kind of eyeballed it over there. I'm going to have to tilt it rearwards about 45 degrees, which is somewhere around here. Eyeballing it for now is fine. And then I need to put this again at the 21 degree. Now the problem is how am I going to mark this? Alright, so now I probably just have to cut from there and then try to get that figured out in there. So I'm just going to get a Sharpie. Try to mark it here without touching it too much. So that cut going that way should get me what I need. But again, I'm just a little worried, and now it getting cut there brings this again a little bit more higher. So if I do that, it might not work. So first, I'm going to test fit this with that marking and kind of eyeball it again. Well guys, I measured it out, and it turns out that if I do cut it, it's going to be way too close to oil filter housing, and it's probably just not going to work. So I don't want to waste that piece. So I'm going to go ahead and order that 2-inch exhaust adapter extension kind of deal. I'll install that and then go from there. So fortunately for you, you're going to see it on the very next clip, because I'll order it. By the time it gets here, I'll continue the video. So here we go. Here real shortly, you'll see the 2.5-inch adapter. Alright, so today what we're going to do is continue on with the exhaust from where I left off last time. I just need to braze the vehicle, and then gain access, we're going to use the adapter. Then I showed you maybe a couple seconds ago, if I edited the video right. And then the mandrel bent tube, and we're just kind of fit it in place, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so some of the things I'm going to work with first is this adapter here. And then this is all I could find right now, which is not a big deal. It's just really to secure both ends in place to get a rough idea. And then on the lower part, I'm going to install this here. And then I'm going to bring the mandrel bent exhaust, and I'm going to kind of eyeball here how is it going to fit. And if everything looks good, then I might just try to tack weld it in place and go from there. Alright, so I think it has plenty of clearance now that I got that adapter. So what I'm going to do is kind of hammer the edges in, and then I'm going to press it in here, so then I can weld a bead from all the way around and inside, so that way it's a good solid connection. And I really won't be using these ends here. I think that'll be unnecessary. Let's see if this angle is not bad. I think. Alright, so as I started working on this video editing, got to the point that I talk a lot and I have to stop and explain. So halfway through, I decided that I might be a little bit more effective into getting the video done by just getting in the zone, working, recording, and then I can do this voiceover thing. So let's see how this goes. If it works out, I'll probably keep doing it, and if it doesn't, then let me know if it sucks. So I'm talking about trying to get the degree right for that flange and try to get it to fit right. It is not welded or anything, so it is very loose. But I think at that point, all I have to do is make a mark and then start welding. Everything else is looking good. So I already had wedged it in place, and I'm getting the system set up for welding. That's flux weld. It's not the cleanest of welds, but it definitely gets the job done. It is a Harbor Freight kit, and it turns out pretty good. It's not the Chicago one. It's the green box. I can't remember the brand. I don't think the brand really matters at that point, but it does some clean welds as far as functionality goes. There's definitely some splatter after the process, but I can live with that because the exhaust doesn't have to look pretty to me. It just has to be done right is really what I would need from it. So I'm just verifying that I'm not going too hot and that I'm not blowing any holes, and just slowly working my way through and making sure I get the right amount of coverage. And I'm starting from the inside, and once that looks good and sealed up, I'll definitely go all the way around the outside, and you'll see that here in a second. Yep, so at this point I'm flipping the pipe and starting to make sure I weld all the way around. And so maybe down the road I can invest in like a MIG welder or a TIG, and I'll practice with that and get better. But right now the welds are just good enough for what I need it, and it's functional. So also I'm renting where I'm at right now, so I don't have a 220 outlet. I don't want to spend the money in getting it set up for the owner. So I'm not investing in the equipment needed to to do these type of welds. So I'm just going to have to do with what I have now. And what you're looking at here is I'm having a hard time trying to secure the exhaust to actually weld it at the angle I would like, and just have to move it around and play with it. Alright, so this is what it kind of looks like. It is done, sealed up all the way. Pretty good. I had some good penetration. I don't think I showed the inside of it, but it looks exactly the same. Alright, so here I am putting a gasket in between the adapter just to get a good idea of the spacing for the fitment. If you hear some background noise of kids and babies and everybody in the house, it's next to impossible to have a moment of silence to record. So you're just going to have to deal with that. So right now I'm just looking at the angle in which it's coming out. And at this point I'm just further tightening the exhaust manifold and everything else from the exhaust. So that way it's nice and tight so I can get a proper measurement to cut out to the bumper. Alright, so I'm just cleaning up the area to bring the bumper in. Dropping the car. No particular reason other than just trying to see how it all looks in its actually sitting position. So what I'm doing here is I just came up with this on the spot. I don't know if it was going to work right. I just took a piece of pipe and cut it out, marked it, cut it out, and I'm going to lay it over the exhaust itself, and then we're going to tape the shop towel onto the car and then use that as an index to then lay it on the bumper. So I'm laying it down, however, I cut a circular hole, and because of the angle, what's really going to be looking like it's going to be an oval cutout. So this is the point that I'm just kind of form fitting it and just custom as I go. There's really no way for me to, I'm not that smart to do some math somewhere, measure and cut the bumper. So I'm just doing it the best way I can. So right now I'm just kind of extending the piece for the shop towel to kind of free fall and be in a natural curvature in relation to the bumper. And I'm keeping it pretty tight because I know I'm going to oversize the hole regardless, and so I'm being conservative with the hole. And now these tape marks is just to strengthen that shop towel so it's not that wobbly. Alright, so I need to make some kind of marking to index the shop towel from the top parts of the vehicle to the bumper itself, so whenever I transfer it I have that index point. So I'm just making a mark in the front, and then I'm going to make a mark in the back. So these two pieces of square tape right there is just going to be my index of where to reposition this tape if, or this whole setup of shop towel if I really need to come back to it. Alright, so it looks like that's where it's going to lay, which happens to be at the very center point of that marker light. And I mean, I wish it was a little lower to keep that, but I think it's just going to work and it'll be fine. I still have the marker. I'm going to cut the marker in half and fill those two gaps with the marker, so I think that's going to look pretty cool. So at this point, I had turned the camera on and did not hit record until the point that you just see now. So luckily I wasn't too far in when I was checking the camera. And what you're seeing here is me just using a Dremel and a cutting tool. I don't remember what type of bit that is as far as the name. But it does a really good job of cutting through. But if you stay too long in one spot, it'll just obviously melt the plastic. So you want to make sure that, well, I was making sure that I don't stay in one spot. And again, I'm being very conservative with my cuts because I can always cut more, but I can't. I rather not try to refill everything. So I was making sure I kept the Dremel at an angle to where that molten plastic was not spattering right back at me because it gets very hot. So here goes the first attempt to fit it. And as soon as I laid it, I realized that it's going to be at a very hard angle here. So I was maybe considering having to remove the exhaust and then install it somehow. But I really wanted to see the end result, so I just pushed it in. It wasn't too bad. But I think as I was doing that, I was also loosening the hand tighten hardware that I put for the exhaust, which is not a big deal anyways. But now I noticed that the front portion is touching, and to make everything symmetrical, I went about ½ inch extra where I saw it was touching, and here goes cutting number 2. And if you were following my other video, I did not have a tripod back then, but now I do. It's just a $20 Amazon one. Don't know how serious I'm going to be with these videos, so that's why I'm not investing a whole lot. Maybe if it kicks off, or if it's just good enough, I'll either upgrade or stay where I'm at with what I have. So right now, it was a lot of plastic there, and in between me cutting it and it melting, it just kind of got all together again. So it's not a big deal. It's just a second pass to just clean up all the remelted burrs. So I'm using a pad here because last time I put my fingers there, it was still hot. So while it's still malleable, I'm trying to remove it, and then it immediately gets hard again. So I just will hit it with a Dremel to clean it up. Again, I'm not worried about it being like super fancy right now. I will definitely work on any finishing touches when the time comes for that, because right now I'm just trying to make as much progress as I can to get this build ahead. Alright, so here I am putting it again, lining everything up. Unfortunately, I don't have any other tabs or hardware to secure this bumper, so it's just really gravity laid, which is unfortunate because I really want to get this thing fitted. But I'm going to have to get something from a junkyard and get all those little parts. That's the only way, really, other than spending a whole lot of money. So after I put that there, it was still touching, but this time it was just only in those two areas there. So I'm just gonna make it symmetrical, make the gap symmetrical, and go from there. All right, so here we go for the final attempt. Maybe you can see underneath that bumper I was putting some braces in there as well some time ago. All right, so it's much easier to slide the bumper in now that these holes are oversized. Again, I'm dealing with not having any hardware to secure this bumper. Can't remember why I did not save none of that when I took the bumper off. Maybe it was because it was a Talon, Eagle Talon bumper, not any clips. Maybe the hardware is different. I can't remember. It's been so long, but here I'm noticing that the exhaust is pretty loose, but it's not a big deal because I can actually tighten it in any of those angles that I was moving it. Alright, so I'm happy with the result, and what I'm going to do here in a little bit is get the angle grinder and get ready for cutting. So before I do that, I'm bringing the jack to just raise the bumper and have it where I want it. It's going to help me get an idea of where exactly I want to cut the exhaust at and at what angle. Being that I don't have anything else to hold the or secure the bumper. Oops. Just really trying to get the most natural position for the bumper. And because I just put this on and it's live, I'm just kind of excited. I just want to see how it looks like. So I removed the camera off the mount, but it's back on, and I already marked where I want to cut the exhaust, and here I am trying to cut the exhaust, and definitely in the way of the camera. So I started on the other side, but the sparks were hitting me in the face, so I was avoiding at all costs to try to do that from that side. but because of the angle of the grinder and how I needed to cut, some of it was inevitable, but I managed to get another angle to where it wasn't hitting me in the face. And then those things jump really violently off the guide if you're not securing that thing, and it's like one of my fears, that thing just bouncing off and cutting my finger off. So here I am using the worn out blade. I really got my money's worth out of that thing. And I have this thing super fast forward because I was there for a while, but it definitely got the job done again. So that thing doesn't want to turn off. Like, as soon as I hook it up, it just keeps running, but it works. Alright, so now the final part is to remove those burrs and just kind of smooth out that angle there with the angle grinder. Then I'm going to wrap it with the titanium wrap. There I am, just kind of flattening everything out to get it in relation to the bumper contour and the cut, so that way it looks a little bit more symmetrical. I was thinking maybe with aerodynamics it's going to be pushing air inwards in there, but the exhaust gases are pushing harder than that, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And it's not for a quarter mile build, this is an autocross build, so I don't think it'll hit any forward facing winds that strong. So anyways, I sanded it down there. I'm now using just an Allen screwdriver to further remove the burrs and that 60 grit sandpaper. And here in a little bit, it's going to be the end product besides the wrap. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it.